Guys, what's going on? Hope everybody's having a good day out there today. Thanks for tuning back in. Got a snowy day here in southwest Missouri and working on the Fish the Moment lake map breakdown. So I want to take a second to do today's video pertinent to the cold weather that we have out there. And what I want to talk about today, guys, is really two of the biggest misconceptions, two of the biggest mistakes that anglers make during the middle of the winter when the water's cold. And when I'm talking cold, I'm talking, that water temperatures between 40 to 50 degrees. And I have a little bit of discussion about that and maybe help you guys out a little bit, because wintertime can be some of the toughest time of the year to catch fish in. So anyway, pretty much most of the country, with the exception of like the extreme southern states, they're going to see water temperatures, somewhere between 40 to 50 during the coldest part of the winter. And we're sort of in it right now. We're in about the middle of the coldest part. Maybe next couple of weeks it's going to get a little colder, but we're pretty much in the heart of it right now. And there's a couple different things to really consider when you're fishing in really cold water, and there's a couple different mistakes that I think anglers make with it. I've got a lot of experience fishing cold water. I fish in it all the time. Not that I like to, but it just seems like it works out that way. But first of all, there's a couple different considerations to take into account here. The water temperature, a lot of it has to do with conjunction with the water visibility, because water temperature, you can't really, if somebody says, yeah, the water temperature is 42 degrees, 43 degrees, how do I need to be fishing? That question is impossible to ask without knowing what the water visibility is. Right off the bat, one of the factors in fishing, one of the realities of it, and one of the biggest mistakes I think anglers make is if you got one end of the spectrum being really cold water that's really clear. Say, for example, if the water temperature is 40 degrees and you have water visibilities of over 6 feet, extremely clear water, people think that if the water is that cold, those fish are going to be extremely sluggish. And that's sort of a myth a little bit. The fish in clear water, even if the water even if the water is cold, like 40 degrees, they're a lot more aggressive than what most people think. And a lot of times here in Missouri, we fish in 37, 38 degree water. And you would think if the water's that cold, those fish just aren't going to move much. They're going to be like a snake or a turtle and just not move at all. But that is just, I have not found that the case. What I have found is if you've got really cold water and you've got really clear water, the bass are a little bit more active than what you think they are. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of fishing a little bit too slow if the water is cold and clear. Now, for example, if I'm fishing a jerk bait or an Alabama rig or swim bait, specifically a jerk bait, I don't let the bait set a long time, even if the water's 40 degrees, if it's clear. I may let it set for 2 or 3 seconds or something like that, but it's not like I let it set for 10, 15, 20 seconds. So that's, I think, one of the big mistakes is a lot of people don't cover enough water if you have really clear, really cold water. That's just been my experience with that. And on the other end of the spectrum, if you have cold water, that you have marginal water visibility. And when I talk about marginal water visibility when it's really cold, I'm talking about any water visibility under 3 feet. If you've got 2 to 3 feet of visibility in the lake that you're fishing and the water temperature is really cold, like 40s, low 40s like that, the fish can be extremely tough to catch. And I think one of the biggest mistakes people make on that end of the spectrum is they fish too deep. If you've got 40 degree water, 42, 43 degree water, and you've got water visibility of 2 to 3 feet, those bass are going to be a lot more shallow than what most people think. And most people make the mistake in that condition of fishing too deep. Now, when I'm talking about deep, it's all relative. Say, for example, you have 2 foot of water visibility in the lake you're fishing and you've got 42 degree water. Very seldom are those fish going to be over 6 to 10 feet deep in that zone. What they do in that dirtier cold water is they suspend shallower. So a lot of the ones I catch in those conditions, the water, say for example, if you throw into 5 to 7 feet of water, those fish are going to be suspended 3 to 4 foot down over that water that's less than 10 feet deep. So what I do in that condition is I just adjust my approach and move shallower. Say, for example, if I'm fishing a a main lake point that has 7 foot of water visibility, I may be out in 25, 30 foot of water fan casting that point. All right, hold on, guys. Elijah's want me to change the channel here. I'll be right back. Guys, got the cartoon fixed there. Elijah's daycare got closed down this week because they had some cases of COVID in the classroom, so he's been at the house for all week. But anyway, back to what we're talking about. Let's talk about the extremities. If you're fishing a lake that's 40-degree water temperature, 6 foot and more visibility, maybe 8-10 foot of visibility, I'm going to be out in that 20 to 30 foot zone fan casting. If I'm on the same lake and the water visibility is 2 feet, my boat's going to be like in 10 foot of water, and I'm going to be casting to the bank, fishing that jerkbait or Alabama rig or whatever, maybe 4 to 5 feet deep through there. So a lot of people think that, just because it's super cold water, if the water is 2 to 3 foot visibility, they're still going to be out in that deeper water, and that's just not the case. And then you can sort of use anything in between that as a mix. In general, I guess a good rule of thumb to remember out there is the colder, the clearer the water is, fish are going to be a little bit deeper, they're going to be a little bit more aggressive, they're still going to chase. And if the water is cold again, and if it's on the dirtier side, they're going to be shallower. They're probably not going to chase quite as much. You need to hit them more on the top of the head, and then you adjust it in between. If 2 foot's one end of the spectrum and 10 foot's on the other, 5 foot, you have to make that adjustment. One thing that I will pass along, guys, a tip with it is that on a jerkbait fishing, especially if you're fishing in the wintertime and that water visibility is marginal, 2 to 3 feet, which is common around a lot of the lakes across the country, that's when you need to let that bait set a little bit longer. I may let it set for 5 to 10 seconds just to give them a chance to find it in that little bit dirtier water. So anyway, guys, that's just 2 of the mistakes a lot of guys I see guys make. They fish too slow in clear water. They fish too deep in dirty water in the wintertime. Just maybe use that as sort of a foundation, and I think it might help you guys catch a few more this winter. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna get back to making these maps. And man, check them out. If you guys haven't had a chance, go to fishingamoment.com. Check out these lake map breakdowns. Really gonna help you out on any lake across the country that you may not know much about, or even if you do fish them, it gives you a fresh way to look at them. So see y'all later. Talk to you later. Bye.